Imagine this. You are standing at the edge of a river, watching the current rush past. The water moves effortlessly, carving its path through stone, bending around obstacles without hesitation. You dip your hand in, cool, fluid, unstoppable. Now imagine trying to stop it. Your fingers clutch at the water, but it slips through. You press your palms together, straining to dam the flow, but the river simply finds another way. Frustration builds. The harder you fight, the more the river laughs at your effort. Now ask yourself, why do you keep trying to control what cannot be controlled? We spend our lives gripping our plans, our relationships, our futures, as if sheer force of will could freeze time, bend reality to our demands. We white-knuckle our careers, micromanage our loved ones, obsess over every decision, terrified that if we loosen our grip for even a second, everything will collapse. And yet, the more we cling, the more life resists us. Here's the unsettling paradox. The things we try hardest to control often control us. Think about it. The lover you smother with jealousy only grows more distant. The career you force into rigid expectations becomes a cage. The future you obsessively plan for never arrives, because you're too busy suffocating the present. What if the secret to a life that flows isn't more control, but less? What if surrender isn't weakness, but the ultimate act of intelligence? The ancient Taoists called it Wu Wei, action through non-action. The Stoics spoke of a more fatty, loving fate, not fighting it. Jung warned of the dangers of an overdeveloped ego, crushing the spontaneous wisdom of the unconscious. Nietzsche declared, "You must become who you are, not who you demand yourself to be." But how? How do we release the illusion of control without falling into chaos? To answer that, we must first understand why we cling so desperately in the first place. The need to control isn't just a habit, it's a survival mechanism gone rogue. Somewhere deep in the human psyche, an ancient alarm bell rings. Uncertainty equals danger. Our ancestors survived by predicting threats, taming chaos, imposing order on a world that could kill them without warning. But modernity has twisted this instinct into something far more insidious. Now, we don't just fear predators in the dark, we fear the uncontrollable nature of existence itself. The illusion of certainty. We tell ourselves that if we plan enough, worry enough, manipulate enough, we can outsmart fate. But this is a delusion, one that psychology and philosophy have long exposed. Carl Jung saw the control freak as a prisoner of the ego, terrified of the shadow, the wild, unpredictable depths of the unconscious. The more we deny this inner chaos, the more it controls us in disguised forms: anxiety, obsession, compulsive behaviors. Friedrich Nietzsche mocked the idea of control as a slave mentality, a desperate attempt to avoid the terrifying freedom of a godless universe. He who must command first learns to obey his own fear. Jean-Paul Sartre called it bad faith, the lie we tell ourselves that we are not free, that our choices are dictated by circumstances, all so we can avoid the dizzying responsibility of true agency. Yet we keep playing the game. Why? The trauma of helplessness. Beneath every controlling impulse is a hidden wound, the memory of powerlessness. A childhood where love was conditional. A betrayal that shattered trust. A loss that left us screaming at the sky. Why? Control becomes a shield, a way to never feel that pain again. But the shield becomes the cage. Neurologically, the brain craves predictability. Studies on illusion of control show that people prefer self-inflicted pain over random pain, because at least it gives the illusion of agency. We'd rather be the jailer than the prisoner, even if the cell is the same. Society's silent reinforcement. Modern capitalism thrives on manufactured control. Buy this product, optimize that habit, hack your life, as if mastery over externals could fill the void within. Social media turns existence into a performance, where every moment must be curated, every vulnerability edited out. We've been trained to confuse control with power, stability with aliveness. But nature doesn't work that way. Watch a tree in a storm. It doesn't resist the wind, it bends. The bamboo survives the hurricane where the rigid oak snaps. The river doesn't argue with the rocks, it flows around them, wearing them down over centuries. So why do we, alone among nature's creations, insist on fighting the current? The tragedy of control is that it works, just enough to keep us addicted. At first, it feels like power. The meticulously planned day. The relationship where you call every shot. The career where no variable is left unmanaged. But beneath the surface, something vital is rotting. The death of spontaneity. Think of the last time you felt truly alive. Chances are, it wasn't when you were micromanaging your life. It was when you were swept up in a moment beyond control. A conversation that electrified your soul. A risk that made your heart pound. An idea that struck like lightning. The French philosopher Albert Camus warned that the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. But control addicts build their own prisons. They mistake the safety of routine for living. Their days become airless museums where nothing unexpected is allowed to enter. Relationships as power struggles. Love cannot breathe in a controlled environment. The partner who demands constant reassurance, the parent who scripts their child's future, the friend who keeps score. These aren't bonds, they's hostage negotiations. Psychologist John Gottman's research reveals that the healthiest relationships have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions. But control turns this into a ledger. I gave you X, so you owe me Y. Trust is replaced with transaction. The irony? The more tightly you grip someone, the more you ensure they'll pull away. The creativity paradox. Neuroscience shows that breakthrough ideas come in states of diffuse thinking, when the prefrontal cortex relaxes its grip. That's why showers and long walks spark epiphanies. The mind wanders freely. But the control addict, terrified of unproductive moments, schedules every minute. They kill the very conditions genius requires. The false god of productivity. Modern society worships at the altar of optimization. But Aldous Huxley foresaw the horror of this in Brave New World. A society so controlled, so perfectly managed, that it had eradicated everything messy and meaningful. When every second is accounted for, when every risk is calculated, you don't get a better life, you get a smaller one. The cruelest consequence. The more you control, the less you actually experience. A meal eaten while scrolling through emails is not tasted. A vacation spent obsessing over Instagram is not seen. A life measured in metrics is not lived. You become a ghost in your own story, haunting the empty spaces between your plans. But there's a way out. One that requires not more discipline, but a radical surrender. The way out isn't through more control, it's through selective surrender. This isn't passivity. It's not resignation. It's the art of discerning what deserves your grip and what demands your release. Like a judo master, you stop opposing force with force. You step aside and let momentum work for you. 1. The control audit. Begin by exposing the illusions. Make a list of what you can truly control, your next action, your breath, your attention. What you can influence but not control, others' perceptions, market shifts, the weather. What was never yours to command, the past, others' choices, the unfolding of time. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, a razor that cuts through anxiety's knots. 2. The 5% rule. Here's the paradox. Total control is impossible. But microshifts in key moments change everything. Instead of obsessing over a perfect life, focus on the 5% of habits that yield 95% of results. The 5% of relationships that nourish your soul. The 5% of risks that could redefine your path. Nietzsche was right. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. But chaos needs a vessel, a tiny, unshakable core. 3. The surrender experiment. For 1 week. Let small things go uncorrected, a messy desk, an unplanned conversation. Replace, "Why is this happening to me?" with, "What is this here to teach me?" Practice active allowing, like a surfer riding a wave, not fighting the ocean but harnessing its power. This is what Carl Jung meant by individuation, not controlling your nature, but cooperating with it. 4. the trust fall with the universe. History's greatest breakthroughs came from release. Einstein's theory of relativity struck during a daydream. The structure of DNA revealed itself in a flash of intuition. Every spiritual tradition speaks of enlightenment arriving when seeking stops. Action without obsession. Effort without attachment. This is the warrior's way. Here's the secret no guru will tell you. Control is an addiction to the illusion of separateness. When you release your grip, you don't fall, you merge. The same intelligence that grows forests without blueprints, that guides birds across continents, begins to move through you. Synchronicities multiply. Effort becomes flow. This isn't mystical thinking, it's physics. Resistance creates friction. Acceptance aligns you with reality's current. You are not the sculptor of your life, you're the water. Shape-shifting, adapting, finding the path of least resistance not out of weakness, but because water always reaches the sea. Every moment of suffering comes from arguing with the current. Every moment of peace arrives when you stop. So tonight, do this. Find one thing you're white-knuckling, a goal, a relationship, an expectation. Whisper to it, I release you to be what you are. Notice what happens next.